Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another GV Weekly Geek episode. I am the Quantum Enjoyer, Kirklin Patzer, and who am I here with today?
I am the Quantumaniac. I like Quantum Enjoyer. Is that just because your nickname yesterday was Coffee Enjoyer, and you're like, you know what? It kind of works to cross it
While
over.
the video was going, I realized it still said Coffee Enjoyer. I'm like, oh my god, I have 10 seconds to think of a name really quickly, and then saw yours, so I stole it a little bit, but I'm an enjoyer of just Quantum in general. But
Me too.
yes, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's just the two of us today, but I think this will be a very fun episode because if you couldn't already tell by our nicknames, we're here to talk about Ant-Man Quantumania. I wasn't sure if there was like a
Ant-Man
number
and the Wasp.
in there.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. Don't forget about Wasp.
I got it. I almost called it like Ant-Man 3 Quantumania, but that just sounded so wrong in my mind. So yes, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Predictions specifically. So me and Dylan will be jumping into that. We also have a couple trailers to talk about, as well as some good old Amazon TV / video game news, because Amazon's just all over that stuff lately, and I've been enjoying the content that they're putting up there, so I'm not upset with it. But before we get into the nitty gritty, just a quick few plugs to get through. You can tell I haven't led a cast in a little while. I'm a little rusty. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this on whatever podcast feeds you listen to, you could probably catch all of our other feeds you can listen to, whether it's Marvel Alliance, DC Alliance, GV Side Quest, so many different things. Travis told you, I think I got it right. This is the first time I haven't added the "so" at the end. I wrote in my notes, so I wouldn't make that mistake again. Yeah, and we're putting out weekly reviews for The Last of Us. We had a very fun episode 4 review last 2 nights ago. And then this week is going to be a little bit earlier because we've been graced and it's coming out on Friday. So that's very exciting. They don't want to share the date with the Super Bowl, which makes sense.
Understandable,
I know Travis is happy for that because he's definitely checking out the Super Bowl. So he would have been like double monitoring it. So very nice. And I'm sure he's not alone. That's why they moved it. So yes, keep your eyes tuned for those weekly reviews. We also got the first part for You Season 4. That'll be dropping sometime this weekend. I believe we're recording that on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to it. I love that show. It's just the first part of it. But yeah, I think that'll be a fun discussion no matter what happens with the show. There's usually some wild things that go on there. I believe you and Travis just did a side quest episode this week, didn't you?
Not quite. We were supposed to.
Oh,
but
okay.
Travis was a little under the weather, so instead I did a solo Marvel Snap episode that I've been meaning to do. And then, side quest is a bit weird because then now Nintendo announced a Nintendo Direct. So we've shifted things around. Now me and you are going to do essentially this week's side quest. And then next week, me and Travis are doing our Midnight Suns DLC coverage. And we're going to talk about the Wolverine game news leak that came through and all that. So side quest is a bit weird, but you're getting 2 episodes this week. So you can't complain, people.
Yeah, you can't complain with that. I'm very much excited to talk some direct news with you.
40 minutes of direct. So I'm sure there's going to be some GV juice in there.
Is that an average length for the directs?
It is, but I mean, if you like, it's not rare that they do like a 20-30 minute long one.
Okay.
But when you see them hit the 4-0 mark, then you know that there's going to be some good stuff. In there.
There's some
like,
juice.
They got a lot to fill in that space, right? So you know you get some good stuff.
No, absolutely. So yeah, definitely keep your eyes on all your feeds for all of that good content. I think I basically got everything. Obviously, Ant-Man's coming around, so next week we'll be doing the review night of that. Very much looking forward to the next MCU project. Travis and I did Knock at the Cabin review last week, so if you are at all interested in that, make sure to check that out. M. Night Shyamalan movies are great to discuss, and we actually had a good time with that one. So make sure to check that out. I listened to the
non-spoiler section, but I think I'll check it out on streaming when it comes out.
I was very disappointed with his previous one, Old, so this was a nice little
step up. Cool.
Nice little step up, exactly. And as you just saw on the banner for the video viewers, go support us on Patreon. That's the best way to directly support the channel. You get everything ad-free, early exclusive. I'm not as crazy as Travis, where I have all like the number breakdown for the amount of hours of early content. But let me just tell you, it is a lot of early hours worth of content. We've been doing lots of retros, whether it's the X-Men retros, John Wick retros. So much content on there, so definitely great way to support the channel. And huge shout out to the highest tier, that is our Patreon producers. We got Aaron Braden, April of Darkness, Joshua Wright. We love you, people. Thank you so much for supporting the channel like you do. and as well as everyone, even if you're not a Patreon, if you're just checking out our that's the Taylor banner there. Even if you're not on our Patreon, just watching our content, sharing it. This is a directly, what's the best way? It's directly fan supported channel. There you go. So yeah, we wouldn't be able to do this without all of you. So without further ado, I think that's good. I think we can just jump in now. All the housekeeping's done. I might have missed something. I don't think I did though. I think I did pretty good today.
You did great. I think you got it.
Thank you, sir. All right, Ant-Man 3. Oh my God, I did it again. The problem is, on my show notes, it says Ant-Man 3. That's where my mind's going. So Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Before we get into the predictions, Dylan Muss, we're like just a little over a week from another Ant-Man movie. I know you're very much looking forward to this, but like, does it feel like it's settling in? Is it one of those things where like Hogwarts Legacy is before it, so all your attention's kind of on that? Where are you at right now?
No, I'm very excited for this. I mean, it's always whatever kicks off the MCU for the year is a very exciting thing.
Yeah.
And for me, that'll be the first new movie I go see in theaters too. So it's kind of the kickoff of a lot of things. And you're right, there is a lot of things happening this month. So this is really when things are taking off. But I'm very, very excited for this. I was actually just re-listening to our retrospective of the first movie and then our like live review of the second one to just hear how we were feeling about that thing, those two things at the time. And I really enjoy both those movies quite a bit. And just the stakes and just the level of, I guess, importance to the greater MCU in this one is going up a whole flight of stairs. So I feel like, I don't know, it's just going to be incredibly hype. It's going to lead us into some Avengers stuff and whatnot. So I'm very, very excited for this one.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like it hasn't quite hit me yet. I mean, like maybe next week, like when we're a lot closer, it will hit me that like I'm actually getting like Kang here. I know I was introduced to a version of Kang in Loki, but this is Kang here. So I feel like for me that's honestly like the most exciting part of the movie. And I don't want to like downplay Paul Rudd and the rest of the Ant-Man crew because I definitely enjoy them for sure. Ant-Man, both movies, or I guess Ant-Man and Ant-Man on the Wasp, they're not like really at like the top of my rankings or anything like that for MCU, but like I still really enjoy those movies. I just think because they seem a little bit less less weight on the greater MCU. I don't know. I don't want to downplay it too much because I do really enjoy those movies, but it's just compared to something else, I just feel like it's somewhere in the middle. But I mean, like the cast is great. I love me some Paul Rudd. I'm very excited to see the new actress that's playing Cassie. I think she's going to do. I've seen her doing like interviews around the YouTubes and stuff.
Doing her trip through Kelowna.
In Kelowna, yeah, she came into my school today to do a talk. I'm excited to just see her in the role of Cassie, and yeah, like I think both Ant-Man movies, they have their like maybe a little bit more serious moments, but overall they're like pretty lighthearted, very comedic and stuff. You got Paul Rudd in there, but this one just has a different tone to it. Like it seems like the stakes are there, and not just because of Kang, but also just they're in like a whole new world here. So I think it's gonna be lots of fun. And like bringing
bringing back our villain from the first one and kind of turning him into MODOK is like a very interesting thing because that is a pretty big Marvel villain. Who knows what they want the future of that character to be, if he's just a one-off here and they don't really care to do much with him,
right? Or
if that spins off and he gets set up to be a villain somewhere else, or a hero. I don't know if he's a hero in some timelines. I'm sure he is. And then like talking about how the first two Ant-Man movies don't feel like they have a huge effect on the greater MCU. And we've kind of seen that where Ghost was confirmed to be a Thunderbolt, and then it's like there's rumors are that she's getting pulled from that, so we don't really know. So once again, really hope she does. But that's kind of interesting that around the time of Ant-Man 3 is when, like, I don't know, a lot of things are kind of coming back from these previous movies. So it seems like they want Ant-Man to enter that echelon of the Iron Mans, the Caps, the Thors. I mean, now that he has a trilogy of movies, I think that kind of adds to that quality as well.
No, absolutely. We got S. Bubs here in the chat. He was giving his thoughts as well. He says, honestly, I haven't been really hyped for this movie, but I think it'll still be fun to go in with no expectations. And that's the best place to go into any movie, honestly, with no expectations. Because if it's bad, it's like, okay, whatever. I wasn't expecting much. But if it goes over that bar in the positive direction, even if it's like a half step, that's 100% more than what you're expecting. So yeah, that's a great place to be, S. Bubs. And I don't know. I have a feeling that you're gonna be impressed with this, and that's coming from someone that's not seen this movie at all. I'm not an early screen or anything.
You didn't get a spoiler when the actress Cassie came to your school.
Yeah, she's like, here's the script, guys. We're just gonna do a round table.
She's just like,
read.
the movie's really good. It's like, oh wow, thank you for telling me that.
I'll tell us Bubs later. That's what I told her. All right. Without further ado, let's get right into the predictions. So starting off the hop, I feel like this is usually a reoccurring like first prediction on our prediction episode. We're talking box office numbers here, specifically the opening weekend one. So as a point of reference, and by I mean Travis Snell, the one that typed up my notes.
Yes, thank you to the legend Travis for giving us these beautiful numbers.
He broke down, so Ant-Man 1 apparently for opening weekend, $57 million. Okay, yeah, I read that right. First I said 157 because it was Ant-Man 1. I was like, man, what a wild first weekend for Ant-Man. But no, Ant-Man 1.
That's how I read it too, to be honest.
Ant-Man 2 had $75 million. So definitely I would say that's a pretty chunky increase from the first movie to the second one. Not double by any means, but still, that's, I guess it's also around the time of Infinity War, Endgame, so like a lot of people are just really in that MCU mindset. But I guess the question that I'll ask you, Mr. Dillamus, is will it be the biggest Ant-Man opening of the weekend, surpassing that $75 million that Ant-Man and the Wasp had?
Yeah, I think without a doubt it's got to be the biggest one for a multitude of reasons. One is, I mean, we don't even know when the next MCU movie is technically, right? The Marvels doesn't have a release date yet. It might soon. Yeah. It might at the Super Bowl. So it might by the time the movie's coming out. But I think people are itching for something, and this is a perfect time. There's also nothing in theaters right now. No shade to Knock at the Cabin, but I don't think that's pulling people to get to the theater necessarily. Maybe it had a great opening. Who knows? But like in terms of other big blockbuster stuff, I guess Avatar is probably still killing it. And other than that, I feel like people probably want another big blockbuster, and this is maybe the first one of the year. So I think that helps the February slot. I feel like Ant-Man 2 came out in spring as well, right? Because it would have been leading up to that like May release of whatever it was. So I guess it probably came out in a similar time frame, but I think that helps for sure. And I don't know, I just feel like Ant-Man, especially after Endgame and his, like this is his, the next movie after his Endgame appearance, where I feel like that character really jumped up a lot of people's tier list as well. And then I think the Kang thing as well. Loki was the biggest show, the biggest Disney Plus show. So you think a lot of people who were into that probably want to go check out the movie where that character is appearing in again. So I feel like the stars are aligning for this to be a pretty big one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. S. Bubs, our guy in the chair, came in clutch with the release date for the Marvels. Apparently right now it's listed July 28th. Okay. Yeah, so there you go. And to speak upon the Knock at the Cabin, flood in the the box office. I saw it opening night, and I think I was there with my dad and like 4 other people. So it wasn't a big box office hit, I would say. But I agree with you. I definitely think without a doubt this movie will do bigger than those other two. I feel like the Kang element is a big reason for that. Like a lot of people, not everybody's seen Loki for sure, but I feel like just through the grapevine, they've heard the name of Kang, and obviously he's been just plastered all over that trailer. So as like just having him listed as like the big bad, and this is like the first big screen appearance for him, I think that is going to get a lot of people interested in it. It's also been, I was going to say a little while since the last MCU, which I guess it has, because the last one would have been Black Panther, right? And that was in November.
Mid-November.
Okay, it's not too long ago, but
even I guess the holiday special after that, if you
okay, yeah, right, and that was also in November too, right? It was same time.
Oh God, when did that come out? Either late November or December, I guess.
Yeah, so whatever it was, it's only a couple months since the last MCU thing, but in my mind, it feels like it's been a little while. But like also, yeah. So the Kang element, like I said, the big new bad booty daddy's approaching, but also like this is like Paul Rudd's Ant-Man's trilogy, like third movie in the series, and I feel like he's just got a big fan base around him, and a lot of people are loving the Ant-Man character, and I think
like all over the world, right? Like just Miss Marvel had references to him, and
yeah, that's right.
I can't remember other example, but I feel like that name is just all over this MCU 616 universe now. Everyone's talking about him. Man.
Totally. Big me, little me, listen to podcasts all the time, top of the charts in the 616 universe. So yeah, like I think for those reasons it's very much gonna like beat those other numbers of the first two films. Do you think it's gonna break over 100 million on the opening weekend?
Oh,
It's a big number.
sheesh. I'm gonna say no.
No.
I'll go 90s though.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think just for fun, I'll say the nice triple digit 100 million. Just because, like, if it does beat that, I'll be happy with my nice prediction. But I don't have a lot of weight on that. I feel like your 90 mil prediction is pretty solid there because the last one was 75. I think it'll beat it by like a decent amount. It won't just scrape by like a 76 or 77. But yeah, I don't know. I just something about it. I feel like it'd be amazing if it hit that triple digit.
I'm looking at the box office, like the overall box office for the two movies. The first one had 520 million. Second one had 620 million. So about 100 million climb each time. Do you think it's gonna cross 620 million? I feel like it's gotta be, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to be a huge climb. Like I think 100 million could be. We could see that same number again, essentially from 2 to 3.
Right. I do think yes, it will beat that number. Just because I don't know, something about it. I feel like this is going to have a bit of a longevity effect where people are talking about it, like, oh my God, Kang, like his appearance in it or whatever it might be, Paul Rudd's performance. Oh, it's pure cinema. They'll be saying on the streets and then getting their friends and family to go see it. But yeah, I don't know. Today I'm kind of predicting high, so we'll see what actually happens there. So yeah.
Yeah, I wonder too, like just in terms of, we'll have to kind of look back at this retrospectively, but with Disney Plus existing now, and there's a lot of people who subscribe to that service, and they know, like, okay, I don't need to see this movie because it'll pop up on this service in 2 months, so I'm not going to go to the theater. Because at the time of Ant-Man 2, right, Disney Plus hadn't launched yet, if my mind can think about the timelines of this correctly. So I don't know if that's a big thing. I think I have to look at the numbers of all sorts of different movies to see if that's actually something that happens, but could that could affect it negatively, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. S Bubs brought up a good point here too, where he thinks Quantumania will help out Creed 3 box office in terms of people wanting to see more Jonathan Majors, and I definitely agree with that because I feel like I got that with like oh my gosh, what's his name? What's Thanos' name? What's that actor's name? Josh Brolin. There you go, Josh Brolin. I feel like after that, I wanted to consume Josh Brolin content, and fortunately for him and me, he was popping off all over the box offices that year with was Deadpool that year too? Yeah, I think it was, wasn't it?
I think it was. It was a big year for Mr. Brolin.
For Mr. Brolin, yes, absolutely. All right, numbers out of the way. Moving on to our next prediction. This one's a little bit more dour. Will anyone die in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania? Dilmas.
Okay, I think absolutely.
Ooh, big absolute.
Yeah, I remember when we talked during the last trailer for this thing that I was like, man, where's Wasp? Like, I know she's in the title, but I don't see her in this trailer. Like, where the heck is she? I don't think she's gonna die here, but I think one or both of her parents are gonna get offed. I think if I had to pick one out of the two, I might go Hank, and I think there's maybe a couple reasons for this. One, I just don't really know what else you're gonna do with that character. I know him, Hank, and Janet are huge characters from the comics, but obviously in the MCU realm, like they've kind of put more of the focus on Scott and Hope instead. So I don't think they're as mandatory in that way. And I think he's been in enough now that we could see him go, and he had didn't really have an arc necessarily, but he's had his time to shine. And at the same time too, I wonder if there's an element to it where Kang specifically as a villain messes with timelines. So even if he does something bad, you can't just time travel back necessarily to save the day. But that being such a big point of Endgame is that we got these Pym particles and we can go back and save time, but we only have a limited amount of these things. I feel like that's something they could dip back into where it's like anytime anything bad happens, well, Hank Pym's around. You guys know how to do this time travel thing now. Why don't you just go get some Pym particles? So I think if you kill him and for some stupid reason, he didn't, leave the recipe so that other people could make it, that could be a reason where okay, well now you can't do that anymore to just save the day whenever something bad happens. So yeah, I feel like that could be an element to it. And then I think, when I think about the opposite of Janet and why she might not go is because we just kind of got her back towards the end of the second movie. She hasn't really done much since then. Now maybe she has a big performance here and it's like a send off or something, but that would maybe feel a bit too quick. And then I think it'd also be fun to have the element where in the first movie and most of the second one, we saw how Hank was affected by not having Janet around and how just that effect that had on him. And it could be kind of fun to have the opposite too if he's gone, and then we still have her for another Ant-Man movie. I don't really know where else she'd pop up in the MCU. I don't really see her popping up in other projects, but yeah, I think that's where my mind goes first. Out of I mean, villains aside, if I'm talking strictly like on the hero side of things, I think one or both of the parents are gone. But what do you think about that? First of all, that theory.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that theory because I feel like if we lose like Janet again, it's just like, man, poor Hank, poor oh my gosh, I'm bad with names today. What's the Wasp names? Hope, thank you. Yeah. So I feel like that's just so tragic for them to be just losing like the mom and the wife back to back, and like you like just got her back and then now she's just gone again. I feel like that's very cruel. I don't think the writers will do that.
Think about that. She was stuck in the quantum realm. She comes back, she gets snapped. She comes back, she immediately dies. That would be a rough go for her.
Very, very rough end of life for her. Yeah, she did not go peacefully. And then like with Hank, you did bring up a good point there that like if he is the one that I guess first I should say I do agree with your point that I feel like maybe we squeeze the majority of the juice out of that orange that is Hank that we've gotten from the MCU. Like we've used him for the Pym particles and basically just getting Ant-Man like up and running and all that stuff. Like he's been a valuable resource for the Ant-Man crew and everything, and I guess just all of the Avengers to this point. But I don't know. I feel like we're also entering like a whole new era for the character of Ant-Man. Like this is going to be the third movie now, as well as we have Wasp, and I just feel like Hank is kind of on like the tail end of his journey with the MCU, because like I'm not picturing him getting in the suit at one point and like really popping off.
Yeah, we kind of got that in What If anyway, right? We saw that that version of the character. Yeah,
exactly. And so for him, I could definitely see him being expendable. Maybe it's a rough word to use there, but just it makes sense to see him go from where we are in the MCU. And in my mind, I just kind of feel like the two parents, maybe a little bit more like poetically, it makes sense in my mind to just have them go together. Like if they are gonna do that big sacrifice play or something, someone's got to stay behind or do something to just like help our heroes. I feel like from Hank's perspective, he would never want to see like her go again. Like that would just be so heartbreaking for him. Yeah. So I feel like they would kind of do like that buddy hero play, but maybe that doesn't mean they die. Maybe it is just like they have to permanently reside in the quantum realm or something. But I don't know exactly what that means, because they have like a whole city down there. So clearly, especially like even Janet was there for a very, very long time, right?
That's the thing where she could be maybe more of a threat to Kang. So maybe he'd want to point the gun at her more than he cares about the Pym particles and what Hank can do.
Yeah. True.
In terms of if that's how they would die, because you would think that's what you'd want to do. You want the big villain of the next Avengers movie to kill off like a crucial character. Yeah. And that gives great motivation for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I like what you said too about the Pym particle. Just as like a writer trying to like keep making these phases for the MCU, it makes it easier to just kill off Pym, because then you won't be having these like fan theories or whatever. It's like, well, why doesn't Hank just make more Pym particles, right? Like it's just like, nope, they literally can't do that anymore because that character's gone. So I think it just kind of cleans it up to an extent there. So yeah, I agree with you for sure. Those characters could die, but I think it would be both of them. And then I guess I kind of have an asterisk there, because technically I pitched maybe they just stay in the quantum realm but don't die. But that's also kind of a weird result, because if we just never see them again and they're just in the quantum realm, like if we got Janet back, like why would we not be able to get them both back again? So I feel like it would probably, just to make the most sense, have them die. Very sad, of course. And then in regards to Hope, I something in me tells me that it would never happen, even though in my mind I feel like it would kind of work, just because I don't know, it gives maybe like Ant-Man, like Scott, like a lot of motivation to just like, I don't know, maybe turn from like a super jovial guy to like really wanting to like kill Kang, or like if he is the direct result of her dying or something like that. And like that could just be a very deep, like intense character shift for Scott. Like like if he actually goes through a super tragic event like that, like if he just comes out very changed, because he's been through a lot of shit, but he's still just like that happy chipper guy, I feel like, for most of the most of his appearance throughout the MCU. So that could be an interesting character shift for sure.
The trailers seem to suggest the opposite, right, of this one, where this just seems a lot more dour and less jokey. I mean, even I don't even think I don't think he's in this movie at all, and he's always been a more comedic focused character. Because one, they're not in regular Earth; they're down in the quantum realm. Where I don't think they'd bring him along. I don't think they're bringing the ex-cons, but I think it just doesn't really fit what the tone of this movie is going for, and making it more serious. And the other thing with potentially why we haven't seen a lot of Wasp in these trailers, and maybe there's been like TV spots where she's in it. I try not to watch those. But a reason could be that one or both of the parents dies, and that's a huge part of what her story is, and her performances is she's angry and she wants to kill Kang because of this. And if you show that in a trailer, obviously that would spoil something like that. So that could be a good reason why they're not showing much of her, because that is going to be a crucial part of just her performance and what the character's story is, because that's the confusing thing for me, right? Why put her in the title of these movies if she's not going to have an arc? They want to have something for her. Obviously, Ant-Man and his daughter, that's a whole thing. But yeah, why haven't we seen much from her? So I feel like, once again, this theory, the more I think about it, I'm like headcanon it into existence. It just makes too much sense for me.
No, absolutely. It's hard to ignore when, like you just said, like it makes a little bit too much sense for not seeing her on trailers, but also you can almost like predict the character turn that she'll have to, or maybe not the character turn, the trials and tribulations that character will have to go through and come out even hopefully stronger on the other side. So yeah, that's a good point. Maybe I'll pull back my hope kick in the bucket. And like also she is a lot more relevant like after the first Ant-Man, just because it's titled Ant-Man and the Wasp. She's been briefly in, I guess, like Endgame as well. She was popping off there, but I still feel like we've barely even like scratched the surface on what that character can do. So yeah, I think, I guess the more I stew on it, and after you brought up that good point, I think she is a safe pick, actually. Cassie, she's not dying.
No, she's good.
Like, yeah, she told me today in class when she was doing her little tour.
She's on her way to Young Avengers. Yeah, she's going nowhere.
She's safe there. So yeah, for heroes, because I don't know like what other heroes could really be in this other than like just our crew that goes into the quantum realm.
Yeah, I feel like no one, right? Like other than like post-credit scenes, which that could be anything.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't make any sense for anyone to be kicking around and they're like just Iron Man's hanging out in the quantum realm for some reason. Like none of it makes any sense. So I don't think we're spending like less than 20 minutes on Earth in this.
Yeah.
Well,
it'll be quick.
Consider Quantumania, unless you consider that realm on Earth, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I don't think I don't think we'll see anyone else.
Yeah, no, for sure. So on like the villain side, as Bob's brought up, he says he thinks a Kang will die, which it definitely could happen. I hope it doesn't, because he was obviously my number one draft pick this year in the, the MCU comic book draft. Even though I don't think I'm gonna win, because my strategy was not great this year. Nonetheless,
you're already giving up. We haven't had anything released.
I didn't give up. I just okay. I'm trying not to lose hope.
Sound like you're already accepting the L, but you have a long time to go.
Maybe I'm not expecting the win. Maybe that's a better way to put it, as opposed to taking the L. Because although there's only one winner, there could be one super loser, and I don't want to be that guy. But with that to the side, so yeah, he thinks a Kang will die, which I guess it is possible. I personally don't think it would happen. What about MODOK? We had our villain that got defeated in the first movie. Now he's back as MODOK. Like, yeah, he is expendable, but I still think because he is just such an I would call him like an iconic Marvel villain just for like his look and kind of what he is in general. I think it would probably sour a lot of people if like he actually like definitively perishes or dies in this movie. So I think if he gets defeated, he will still be lingering somewhere, just to open up the possibility of like really anything. I don't know if they do a MODOK. They already did kind of a MODOK series. I can't remember what that was though. It was. Yeah, I forget what that was, but there was some sort of MODOK thing that came out.
Yeah,
what
was it? It was like some weird like robot chicken thing, wasn't it?
It was weird animation style.
Yeah, I think MODOK is safe. I think I completely agree with what you said, where we could see him get defeated in some way, but I don't think he's dead there. I feel like that's a thing they want to do in more modern era of MCU, and there's definitely a lot of counter examples, but I think they want to keep their villains alive if possible to do more with them. And MODOK is, even if he is so weird and goofy looking that he doesn't seem to necessarily fit in what this style, what this vibe, this version, this MCU is, I still think they want to keep him around and use him again in the future. I have no idea where, because I've always associated him with like as a Wakanda type villain and stuff. So I don't really know what all the different comic book runs he's been in, but I think he's definitely safe. As for Kang, there's just one of those things. Right? There's so many versions of him. I could absolutely see Kang or multiple Kangs dying in this, and it pretty much means nothing. And I guess, I mean, that also would be a good setup for Ant-Man is powerful enough to kill Kang, and that makes Kang more frightened of him, and that just sets up a good dynamic for them in Kang Dynasty. So I could definitely see a Kang dying. Now I don't really understand how that can happen. It's weird, in the trailer we saw like just them punching each other. And it was so weird to me. That's not what I pictured for a battle between those two characters. It's just like, draw up the gloves and just like go fisticuffs against each other. Super weird. So I don't know if he gets to a point where he punches him to death, because that doesn't really feel like an Ant-Man thing to do, right? So I don't know how it'll happen. But even if it's someone else that kills Kang, I don't know. I think it could definitely happen. But of course, it wouldn't be definitive because he's coming back. But a version of Kang, one of the many, could bite the bullet here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Do you agree with that Spub's comment here? They want the Marvel Snap MODOK brand synergy.
Yeah, this month they're doing I forget what the season's called, but it's like the Ant-Man. Maybe they even call it the Quantumania season or something like that,
Makes
the
sense.
Battle Pass. And the new card is MODOK. So.
Oh, okay. I get my like targeted ads for it all the time, and MODOK's just like plastered right there.
They did that for Wakanda Forever. They had that month was like Black Panther month and stuff. So it's cool that they're able to, put enough content together that they can synchronize those things. It's pretty fun.
No, for sure. All right. Well, anyone else you think will die, or do you want to move on?
Yeah, I mean, who else is there? There's Bill Murray's character. Like maybe he died. I don't really know anything about him.
Yeah, he could die on screen. Travis would be happy, I know.
Yeah, he would. I mean, yeah, Cassie's definitely safe. I don't know who else is there. Like I
know
like
that's what's tough.
Covered it. Like Kang,
Random Aliens,
so many different guys. Yeah, like people like that can definitely go. So yeah, I think I'm still not 100% confident on Wasp, but I do. If I had to lean somewhere, I would say she's safe. But yeah, I think we'll definitely see some emotional stuff happen in this movie for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, before we go on, we're going to take a quick ad break here, and then we'll carry on with these Ant-Man predictions. And we are back. On the game, sorry, I did not check out the screenplay or anything like that, so I don't really have any comments on this. I apologize. Did you read the early screenplay there, Dylan?
Well, I think he means more like just is that the... Like I don't. Do we trust like the vibe, like just the feelers out there? I don't know exactly, but we can move on.
I trust no one. Yeah. All right. We kind of already talked a little bit about this, about like other characters that could appear in this, but specifically any other MCU characters. Do we think that they could appear in here? And that could be someone that's obviously unannounced, someone that's never been in the MCU before. Brand new characters, could be a recurring one, I guess. But like. I don't know, like I don't really know who's chilling in the MCU Quantumanium realm, so it's kind of a tough one for sure. I feel like if it would be anyone in my mind, I think it would have to be someone new that we haven't seen before, because it's just like, I don't know, if you just have like Hulk in the Quantumanium realm, it's like, why the hell are you even here? Like you need a lot of explanation, I think, and like it's not an easy place that people just go to vacation. Like you really have to have significant effort to get there. So like for me personally, no one really like stood out on who I would just like pull very quickly on like, oh, I could see them popping in there. It was kind of a hard one for me for this prediction.
Yeah, I just think this movie has enough going on, and I don't actually know the runtime of it. So maybe it's 3 hours long, and in which case I'd be like, well, there's probably something surprising about this that we don't know about. But yeah, it just doesn't really make sense. I guess maybe the one that I'll bring up is, once again, bringing Ghost into this. Where her ending was like, I forget what exactly the last scene was, but she just like walked away or something like that. And if the Thunderbolts rumors are true, or not rumors, but like they announced that. So if the rumors aren't true that she's getting removed from it, Is there some reason for that to be in this movie, where there'd be a bridge between Ghost being a character from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and yeah, like laying out that bridge for her to get over the Thunderbolts?
Right.
I just don't see how that. I don't see the connection there. But is that like a potential theory? Do you think there's any water to that?
I think it's like a good enough argument for a theory. I guess I could say it, just because she's had ties, obviously, like with this realm, and like just our characters from Ant-Man and the Wasp, like that movie when she was appearing in there, especially because she got pulled from the Thunderbolts. It's like, okay, well, hopefully they would have a plan with her, because I think there is a lot of potential there with that character. That was a character that kind of fell short for me personally, but I could see positives and like a good juicy appearance from her somewhere. So I like that idea, but like that being said, although I do see more potential with the character, I just feel like with this crew, like with the Ant-Man crew, I just feel like there's not too much more there other than just they've experienced her before, and they could be like, oh yeah, we know this character. She's kind of a misunderstood, redeemed soul, you could call her. But I just, like you said, I think there's too much already going on with this film that like to have ghosts in there, it might feel a little bit messy there. But I don't know if you had a 3-hour movie, you could do that.
Apparently the runtime is 2 hours, 5 minutes. Yeah. So I don't think we have room for. Well, I mean, Wong is probably going to show up, right? He'll do.
That's
something.
A good prediction.
He could pop
Madison.
into the quantum realm and just like drop Shang-Chi off there. He can help them fight or something. I don't know.
That'd be wild. Oh my gosh, the Wong points coming in again. Yeah. Honestly, that's a good pick. I think like someone Sorcerer Supreme. Because I don't really know the full extent on where those rings can go, but fuck, they've probably just traveled the Quantumania realm here and there every once in a while. And Wong's been everywhere at this point.
So yeah, other than post-credit stuff, I don't think we see anyone, and I don't think we'll actually see Ghost. I just wanted to pose that, but I don't see it. I don't see how it works.
Good talking point nonetheless. And then I guess we can segue right into the next one on will there be a post-credit scene, since you brought it up there? This is a little bit later on my notes there, but still good place to talk about it. I think yes. just switch up the order. I've been throwing it to you first these last few ones, but I think there'll probably be two, probably one comedic, just because that's usually what I get out of my Ant-Man post-credit scenes. The Antony one comes to mind, and I don't know. I feel like there'll be probably some alien creature that we to Travis's dismay, it'll probably be like a Bill Murray one or something that he just hates. But
yeah, that's possible.
But like I could see us getting some sort of comedic one like that, and then probably something Kang centered where I don't know, we air quotes defeat Kang in this movie, but then it's very obvious that he's not defeated, and then it's just a little bit hint as to where you might see him next. But yeah, that was like the quick ones that popped in my mind. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean the obvious one is Loki is where Kang was introduced. Those characters have met. That show is coming out later this year. So is there something there where it like leads into that show in some way? I don't know. I don't know how much Kang is actually going to be in Loki season 2. I feel like they kind of had their moment. I don't know. He'd probably be in there in some way, I guess.
Yeah.
So that would be the one, I guess. But I like that's the thing where it had to be a post credits, because I don't like Loki and Ant-Man would never have bumped into each other. Obviously, Loki. Yeah. The Loki from 616 had died by the time Ant-Man was kind of relevant enough to like make an appearance. So I don't really see how in real time they could be meeting or anything like that. And then thinking about the other projects, like Secret Wars is the next thing. We got the Marvels coming up here. Like maybe Echo. Like I just don't like any other projects this year. I actually don't really see what the connection could be. So I don't know if I could really make a prediction on what those would be necessarily. But I think you're right. Like the definitely two, maybe one more light. I don't know if it'll necessarily be like a comedic one, but it'll be some sort of epilogue-y sort of thing for this movie. Just because I think if it has a very emotional ending, I don't know if they'll want to throw a joke in there. And then, something that sets up Loki or some other project that's coming up.
Yeah, no, for sure. And just on that Loki train there's a couple ones in the comments here. First, All in the Game said something to lead into Loki season 2. That's I mean, you brought up Loki, and I feel like I can see a lot of potential there, just because, as you already stated, like all the other future projects, they're not very clearly intertwined with like who, like what these characters are interacting with, other than, you know, Loki gave us the original Kang, so I could definitely see that happening. S-Bubs throughout, do you think we get a Miss Minutes cameo in this movie? I think that would be actually really cool. I don't exactly know what it would be specifically, for just like, I feel like it would be random if she's just like comes in to like say something. I feel like it would be centered around like a Loki event happening. Very fan favorite character from the Loki TV show there. But I do like the Loki prediction there. I think that's a good one, because everything else, it just doesn't clearly make sense to me.
And I mean, sometimes there is just like kind of random ones thrown in there that aren't necessarily related to what we're dealing with. So it's hard to predict one of those that is just like some off the wall thing.
No, absolutely. And then I thought it'd be a good point in here to bring in Patreon Clay's questions. Go join our Patreon. You can post a question on any episode. We'll bring it up. Patreon Clay said, going into MN3. Oh, hold on here. You probably already thought of it, but anyways, do you think that this movie will interconnect with Loki seasons 1 and or 2? How so? I feel like kind of what we just brought up there for the end credit scene, at least. But do you think anything more, like main movie wise, like especially just because I guess the Kang tie, that'd be the most obvious one, but anything else like Loki centered that you could see like very obviously be from Loki in this one? We getting a Mobius or something?
That would be funny. No, I mean, since those characters never met.
Yeah, it's tough.
You know, specifically Ant-Man and Loki, and you know, Hank didn't meet any of them. I just don't think there's any bridge there for there to be a scene that would be that meaningful, other than like, I don't know, they're cruising around the quantum realm, and for some reason Loki and Sylvie are just like doing something. But like, I don't know. Once again, I just think they have enough going on here that they don't need to dip in the well there. So I think it'd definitely be a post-credity thing, and in which case I think it's just an unrelated to like what Ant-Man's doing in this. It would just be a Kang and Loki, not necessarily those characters together, but just like something happened, some event that happens in Ant-Man lends to give Loki a clue as to how he can track down Kang or whatever he's doing, something like that.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. I don't really have anything else to add on top of that. I think you hit it. I think it'd just be like a little bit too messy too if it's like obviously forced to just get in like, oh, this person interacted with Kang at one point in time. There's already going to be so many Kangs that we're going to be seeing. I feel like they don't have to force that. And again, like I just think it would kind of probably take away from what this film is going to be if they force that. So that's obviously not what I want to see. All right, so moving along to our next prediction here. Does this version of Kang survive? We kind of already talked about that. For who do we think will die here? I think yes, he will survive. Any Fantastic Four references? Ooh, that's a fun one.
Any Fantastic Four references?
This is a tough one for me personally, because I don't see like very obviously like what the Fantastic Four tie into either Ant-Man or Kang or like Quantumania realm or anything like that. I'm just my Fantastic Four well of knowledge is pretty shallow. Unfortunately, I find them interesting for sure. My most interesting character out of like the entire Fantastic Four is like not even a Fantastic Four member. It's the Silver Surfer. So I mean, if he just randomly appears in there, I'll probably like be hollering in the theater. So I would be very hyped on the review if that was the case. But I guess the other one could just be like, you do have smart people in the Fantastic Four, specifically Reed Richards. Maybe they need some smart brain power. But again, this is, I'm kind of out of my wheelhouse on the Fantastic Four stuff. What about you?
Yeah, I don't really see that happening. I just feel like the Fantastic Four in the MCU has been kind of in flux a bit when we have director swap and all this stuff, and just we don't know the cast yet and stuff like that. I don't think this is a place to reveal it. So I guess, you know, the question being like, is there any reference to them? Maybe, but I don't know. I think if anything, it would be like, what was it? Like Doctor Strange had like a reference, and it was kind of like a meaningless one, right? It wasn't like teasing what's to come. So maybe there's something like that. But I'll say no.
Yeah, and I feel like also we are getting it in a few years. We will be seeing a live action MCU Fantastic Four on screen. hard to believe. It's gonna be amazing.
Crazy.
I hope so at least. But I just something in me. I feel like it's still like far enough away for us to not really need to like start sprinkling in those breadcrumbs. Like we did get a Reed Richards in Multiverse of Madness, which was John Krasinski. You know, it wasn't much other than just being like a Reed Richards from another universe, which just blew people away. Actually seeing John Krasinski on screen, that was pretty wild. But like I guess the other example I could compare this to is like how we are gonna get X-Men eventually, and we're starting like we got Charles again, another Multiverse of Madness situation there. But like even in Miss Marvel, they were starting to talk about like the mutant gene and stuff like that, and that's still ways away. And I feel like the entire X-Men idea is a lot bigger than what the Fantastic Four one is. So the fact that we're like barely getting breadcrumbs right now for the mutants just tells me that like, yeah, I think it'll still be a little while till we get like any little like hint at the Fantastic Four. But
and yeah, I mean, based on release dates, it seems like there is some connection between Fantastic Four and Kang Dynasty, right? But I think that will be something that we'll see during that movie of Fantastic Four. Like, I don't really think we'll see it earlier. I still think there is a chance that you get introduced to one or more of the actual cast, not John Krasinski, but the people who will actually be playing those characters before those movies, right? Before that movie, I should say. But this is, to your point, too soon. Like, we're not going to get anything like any cast reveal here. I think we would have got more leaks and stuff if that were the case.
Absolutely. All right, that was our last prediction that we had on our show.
All yours, you can have it.
I'll take it. I'll take it to the bank. Anything like last minute that popped in your head that you wanted to throw down?
No,
Ant-Man getting a new suit or something? Is he getting a new form? He's gonna be like middleman.
Middleman. Isn't that just
little
his
man.
regular self?
Yeah, he's like a couple inches taller.
I wonder. Oh, do you think we'll get like a reference to his podcast in this? Like he's making an episode maybe when we're still on Earth or something?
I'm gonna say yes. I think that would be great because like cool. that was just such
him
a
in the recording studio. That would be really fun.
That would be a great opening for the movie. Like him like doing like an actual podcast episode. That would just make me just smile ear to ear.
And even like it would be, you'd get the whole. Here's my prediction. This is very in depth.
Okay,
you get the whole shot. He's in the studio. I don't know if he does. I think he does it by himself. Maybe he has like Wasp with him or something. I don't see her as.
I feel like Wasp wouldn't want to do it with him.
No, maybe Cassie, whatever it is. They're having a conversation, and then it like zooms out, and there actually have been mini during this whole scene, and then they like grow back to regular size. His recording studio is like the size of a Hot Wheels car or something like that. That'd be fun. I don't know if the audio equipment works at that tier, but it must. It seems like if they have a whole city in the quantum realm, they can get a fucking microphone and a audio interface. So I think we could see that. That'd be.
I feel like you would need very expensive like audio recording equipment to like listen at that size, but at the same time, you could also just shrink the mic and everything, and I feel like it would retain the quality. I don't know. I didn't take some Ant-Man.
That would be a lot easier to make like a little soundproof room. I think if you could, shrink a room down to that size. You know what? Now that I think about it, that could actually be a really good like comedic post-credit thing. Is just like him doing his podcast. Yeah. So it'd be good if they set it up and showed a scene of it, and then they just had another moment of it.
That's one that like not only could I see it happening, I really want to see it happen because I think like that idea that he just has a podcast, Big Me Little Me, is a fantastic like little joke, and like just like when we heard it, we thought it was amazing. But I hope they don't just use it as that one-off joke. Like I want this to be a reoccurring thing because he's got a lot of interesting stories. Being in the Avengers,
he's got a lot of fans now, right? Like I feel like that element of the story should be acknowledged at least.
Totally, yeah. I'm curious if they go into like the ratings of the podcast, if he's just like total bottom barrel, like no one listens to his episode. Because obviously in like the trailer,
on the rankings, he's like below GeekVerse.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, GeekVerse on the MCU, that'd blow my mind.
616, baby, let's do it.
That's like that's our dream right there. So I mean, without any further predictions, we're gonna just move right on to our next topic here, which is trailers.
Trailer town.
So any particular trailer you want to start with? I feel like usually I have one that's like very obvious to like go off of, but here I don't know.
The obvious thing then is probably just keep it in the superhero realm for at least a little bit. Switch from Marvel to DC, but
absolutely, yeah. I don't know why I didn't ask you this. Do you want to like break through the trailer? I'm assuming you watched the trailer.
I don't think we need to do a frame by frame on this one.
I wasn't going to, so yeah, I was about to pull it up if you wanted to. Yeah, I mean, I'll go first here because I am somewhat. I mean, I guess I can ask you this. Have you seen Shazam?
I have seen Shazam. I cannot confirm if I finished the movie, but I definitely gave it the good old college try, and I did not enjoy it.
Okay,
is what I'll say.
And you like what's his name? Zachary Levi, right?
I loved what was it? Chuck back in the day.
Yeah,
right? You know,
big Chuck fan.
But I have not watched that show in a very long time, so I don't know if it holds up and all, but.
It's crazy. I mean, we're getting old and this podcast is getting old. Because I remember you telling me about that show like early days of the podcast, and here we are all these days later.
That was I probably watched it recently at that point, but that was 7 years ago. So there you
go. Yeah. So when I saw this on the show notes, I kind of chuckled to myself because I wasn't sure if you had seen Shazam. I obviously don't hear you praising it every day. I've never seen Shazam. The only Shazam thing I've actually seen is Black Adam, which is kind of funny. So yeah, seeing these trailers, I wasn't a big fan of like the initial trailer. I just think, I don't know, that something about the Shazam humor, it isn't exactly working for me. And I'm not a great credible source for that because I've not seen the movie. Maybe the movie's hilarious, but just from what they showed in the trailers, wasn't exactly hitting home for me. I feel like we talked about this on cast before too, but also just like the idea of like a little kid just saying a word and just becoming this big like brooding hero, but like still having the personality of a kid. And like you see that in like Zachary Levi just doing like, I don't know, trendy pop culture references or something. Again, maybe I'm just getting old. I'm starting to sound like an old fart or something, but it didn't exactly hit. The first trailer for Shazam Fury of the Gods, I found it okay. Yeah, there is big names on screen. You got Helen Mirren, you got Lucy Liu, like a lot of famous people I'm seeing. And I think like the actual like CGI of everything, like it looks good, but just something about it wasn't pulling me in too much. I saw Black Adam, and I actually liked that movie. I don't think it's amazing. I liked it, and like the Shazam isms that they were hinting at, I'm like, this is actually decently interesting. Like maybe I will have to check out this world here with the wizards and how all that works. But the first trailer for it, the comedy didn't exactly get through to me. I wasn't loving it. This trailer, I actually quite enjoyed. There's a lot of similar scenes, maybe just added upon and a little bit more extended. All in the game saying too generic looking. I think that was my initial reaction because like we had dragons and stuff, and I don't know. It wasn't anything that I hadn't seen before. But like if this movie came out in like 2006 or something, right? Like before the MCU was going, I probably would have been blown away. Taylor Field in the chat with his super professional photo. I love it. Is this the right place for some Shazam franchise love?
Get in the episode and show some love, Taylor. Come on,
pull
get
up
in
a chair,
here.
Taylor. Yeah. Exactly.
You don't see him pop up in the live chat too much. It's a fun cameo there.
It's very, very fun. But yeah, no, like I was saying, like this trailer, I was liking it, even though it was just like a little bit more of an addition of like the previous trailer and scenes that we got from that. I think the difference between this one and that one is like a little bit more of like Billy's. It's kind of fun just giving my opinion on this because I haven't even seen the movie, so I might just be talking my ass here. But just from this perspective, I find it interesting seeing like Billy's kind of struggle with like almost not even wanting these powers because like obviously he's like a target on his back. His friends are involved now. I'm assuming his family as well. So I feel like I feel the stakes from this trailer. However, I think this trailer was like a minute too long. I think like once it got to the like minute like two. Because how long? I think it was like 2.5 minutes or something. I mean, yeah, when it was at like a minute and a half, it just seemed like I saw like the whole end battle, like really. And I don't know.
I think there's a couple shots that are from like the final encounter for sure.
We see so much of this dragon, and like they're showing a lot of epic like dragon getting his ass kicked.
It's
moments,
like a fucking
like,
Skyrim ad where it's like we have dragon tech and we're gonna show you every living second.
That's what I'm expecting to hear on screen there. But
instead of Shazam, it's just instead of saying Shazam, he says Fusroda now.
It's the Dragonborn, with with the armor and everything. So yeah, like which is weird because I like went through a whole roller coaster watching this trailer where I was like, man, like this is actually appealing to me. Like these shots look good, the character stuff looks good, But then I was just like, well, I obviously know who the bads are. We got Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu. And I know their motivation now because they said in the trailer. And then I know this big dragon is getting his ass handed to him by Billy Batson. Like, I just saw way too much of that. And again, maybe I'm being a little bit too hypercritical here, but anything that, like, you, I don't know, saw similar to me, or is it a whole different experience for you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think All in the Game nailed it, is what I was trying to find, with the generic looking aspect of it. So obviously not a big fan of the first one. I think they would have to have a pretty fucking godlike trailer to convince me to go check out the second one, because even the first one, I didn't go to theaters. I just watched it at home. So I'm pretty checked out of this era of DC. Like, I'm into Batman and Joker, but in terms of like the DCU stuff, I don't really care, and I'm kind of just right now I'm warming the bench for when James Gunn's era comes out, and then I'll give it another try again. So I'm really, really checked out of this one. But yeah, this trailer did not sell me in any way, and yeah, it's too bad because there's a lot in here, as you mentioned. And for me, it's like, okay, they've shown Shazam, and like now he's got a whole squad of characters, and maybe one of them will be a love interest, and like they all have powers, and they're all doing this thing. And in theory, like, that could be pretty fun. But just there was nothing in here for me to grab onto with any of the characters. There wasn't some quirk about them. They all kind of have the same powers, so even that isn't like too interesting, or at least it seems like they have the same powers. They all have the same look, obviously, with a different main color palette going on. So none of those really did it for me. And then the villains, like, I don't know, it just looks like they spend the whole movie just like hovering above this football field and like create a barrier, and they just like, you know, say a pretty generic / menacing line every once in a while. And it's disappointing because like Lucy Liu, like, I didn't really think about her as like she would be great in a comic book movie, especially as a villain. And now that I see it, I'm like, oh, you know what, that actually is a really good combo. But like, it just seems like she has nothing to work with here, and it seems like it's very forgettable performance, and not to her fault or anything like that, just because that's what the movie's got going on. So yeah, there's very little in here that did anything for me. So I think I'm absolutely going to be skipping this one, and I don't know. I'm curious to see what people think of it once they've seen it. But
yeah,
I feel like this one's just also not. I don't think it's going to do very well. I don't think it's got any familiar characters. I don't know if there was enough love from that first Shazam. It's also been a while since that one, and with people maybe even knowing that this era of the DCU is coming to a close, like, I just don't know who this movie's for exactly. And
yeah,
I think that if they could have released it earlier, it probably would have been better. I think that's just a big problem they've had with DC right now. They've pushed everything back so many times. I think they just need to get these things fucking out the door at this point.
Absolutely. I know Shazam definitely has their fans for sure, and like, it's not just like the hardcore DC fans. Like there is a network of individuals that I think really love these Shazam movies. So for them, I hope it hits as well as they're hoping for. But yeah, like All in the Game said here, just gotta get these year's 4 DCU movies out of the way. Start the DCU properly for next year, which I'm looking forward to. Creature Command, all that stuff. But no, Shazam not exactly hitting my barometer too hard. That was a weird thing to say.
Yeah. March 17th on that one.
March 17th.
Which, yeah, you might not get a GV review for that. I don't know if anyone's seen it, so.
Yeah,
sorry, fans, but we're
point.
Usually pretty on it with the superhero stuff, but I don't think any of us are really. Usually Travis is the guy that's like, if all else fails, Travis will see the new comic book movie. But I know he's not too hot on Shazam, even this new trailer as well. So
no, absolutely not. And I mean, maybe Taylor Field, he hopped in to talk about Shazam, and now he's out.
He dipped immediately. we had a little call to action there. Come give it some love, and he dipped. So I think that just goes to show.
Taylor Field has gone offline. That's all we saw for the reply there. All right, so Shazam! Fury of the Gods, as you said, March 17th, which is next month already. Holy crap! We're already the 7th of February, man. This year, it's gonna hop, skip, jump right away from us. But before then, we'll be getting Boogeyman. I'm gonna bring up Boogeyman here. We got some Baba Yaga action. This trailer for me scared the living shit out of me. I don't know if this is like a remake. Maybe someone in the comments will clarify on me. But there was a movie that came out a long time ago. There's probably been hundreds of actually movies called The Boogeyman or Boogeyman or something like that. But there was one in I'm not even gonna guess the year. A Boogeyman movie came out, and I was way too young to watch it, and I was hanging around with like family friends, and you have like just the parents party and do whatever the hell the parents do, and then like all the kids just like accumulate and like watch movies or something, and like my sister is 4 years older than me, and like the family friends kids were like a year younger than my sister, so I was obviously like the youngest of them, and they're like, oh yeah, no, let's put on Boogeyman or whatnot, and I'm just like the one lone soldier there, like, okay,
sure.
let's do this. And just like that idea of the Boogeyman, and it wasn't even so much of the movie, it was more of just like this idea that there's this Boogeyman out there, and I feel like it's such a common spook and like idea of like, oh, someone's under the bed, someone's in the closet. It's just, as a kid, like horror movies mess with you so differently. Dane Cook did a great skit on it back in the day. Shout out to you, Travis, you know what I'm talking about. But like for this trailer, it like brought me back to that era of just being a kid, seeing the Boogeyman movie, and just like these thoughts again, where I feel like this one, there's certain times when I'm watching a horror movie, even now, they don't hit me as hard as they did, where they like get under my skin and I'm thinking about them for times. But there's times when I'm like walking, to my bathroom, I'm home alone, it's just like a dark corridor, I'm like, oh, that'd be creepy if X villain just came out of there from the horror movie that I just watched. And this movie like brought that back, and the trailer to me was like bone chilling. It really freaked me out. I think this is gonna be a special movie. I think this is gonna be one that really sits with me. I feel like not too many horror movies as of late has really had that full effect. There's a handful for sure, but yeah, I'm very much excited. My horror movie companion is my father, so I'm excited to go see this with him. I'll have to send him the trailer. He's probably watching this live right now, so I got your ticket, Dad. We're going. What are you doing?
Your dad.
Did you get spooked like me? Were you hiding under the bed?
I mean, I think this is a great trailer. Very classic horror trailer. Very classic kind of horror story and tale and kind of monster and all that stuff. Which is interesting because I haven't seen any of this director's previous work, but I know Host was a big one within the GeekVerse community. You guys really liked that.
Oh, that one got me, and I was watching it just like this on my computer, and it's about someone doing something like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting murdered. So I was spooked out watching that one. So that's great to hear.
Playing on your fears, but then I think his most recent movie, I think it's called Dash Cam, was not a great one. So I feel like, but I feel like with both those, he was going for a very specific vision, right, where he's using like a specific medium, like a certain camera angle and all that stuff to tell a kind of unique story in that way. And so I think this is probably a good thing to step back. We're just making a very classic kind of horror movie here and use his chops of like cinematography and tension building, all that stuff. And it seems like that's a pretty successful combination here. For me, I love the lighting of this. Movies like Insidious or Hereditary, where there's characters or creatures in the background or in the corners, and you can barely see it, and you're like looking very closely at the screen, and then something will jump out and scare you. Like that's some good stuff right there. And this trailer had a ton of that. Obviously, with the character creeping under the bed or in the corner when the kid was in the hallway. I also loved the shot they had where one of the characters like thinks she sees something or hears something, and so she opens the fridge to get the fridge light to illuminate the room a little bit to see. Like that's really clever for a horror movie. Like I've never seen that exact thing done before, but I thought that was a clever little solution. It seems like there's a lot of that where the kid's holding some weird light rolling around the ground. So I just feel like this is going to be a fun movie, still scary and got that horror vibe, but I think it will be fun at the same time. So I'd say I'm looking forward to this one. I had not really. I saw some people in the Discord talking about this movie when it was either announced or when the trailer dropped, but I hadn't watched it until today. But I was like, I see where the hype is. Like this looks pretty cool. So I think I could see myself checking this one out depending on what the release date is, which I should double check that right now just to see what it's up against. Ooh, The Legend.
The Legend. It is June 2nd. There you go. Only in theaters.
Okay. So off the top of my head, I don't know what's releasing that day, that week or anything like that. So we'll keep an eye on that because that's still a few months away.
Yeah. No, for sure. Like you said, there's buzz amongst us, so I think definitely you could expect a review for this one. I feel like the resident horror jockeys. I mean, I don't know if you fall in this category, but it's like Taylor and Travis are usually the ones that like see those movies in theaters and they're usually getting all the reviews.
I'm like 25% of the time I'm in there, but then when it's Ari Aster, I'll make an appearance.
Yeah, I'm there for the Ari Aster films. which is funny because I don't even think I've actually been on an Ari Aster review. I feel like I've seen those movies
Are you gonna join
like
us
later
this year
on.
For
So
Beau is Afraid?
I'll have to. Yeah, that's the
Can't
Joaquin
wait.
one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. The other shot I wanted to shout out because you shouted out the fridge one was when the little girl, fucking terrifying. She like thinks she hears someone go under her bed, and then she like has the ball, and like the camera does like a 180, and it like flips to like her view from like under the bed. Just very very artsy. I found that to be, and just really like clever use of the camera. And I'm hoping for just more of that throughout the entire film. So
yeah, that's a great point. That's a very smart technique where like it throws the viewer like off balance, right? And then you're thrown into this horror scenario. So it's a good combo there for what is a scene or a shot you've seen a million times as a kid scared looking under the bed, but somehow they're able to spice it up and make it still captivating. So yeah, it seems like a solid film.
No, absolutely. And I think the thing with it being based on a short story from Stephen King just helps it a lot too, because like Host, I loved what that movie was. It was so clever. You mentioned Dashcam apparently just wasn't so much that same quality, but the fact that you have like a renowned horror writer, like you have this source material, like you don't have to just formulate it all from your head, like it's already an established source material. I think that helps it a lot too. And yeah,
I still haven't watched Host. It's I've just never seen on any of the streaming services I had or have. Like I guess maybe it's on Shudder or something, which I've never actually subscribed to. But it's always been on my list, perpetually on my list since you guys talked about it. But it's just I'm still waiting for it to hit Netflix, hit a Plex or something like that.
You should talk to S Bubs because he's got some hacker method. He hasn't paid for Shudder in like 6 months or something, from what I've heard. He's like abusing the promo codes or something, making new emails.
I'll wait until I have like 3 or 4 movies built up that I want to watch, and then
there you go. It's a Shudder exclusive.
Oh shit!
That's why it hasn't been anywhere else.
That's amazing.
That's funny. The other thing S Bubs said was also apparently the main moped rider girl from Book of Bones.
Moped? Did you say moped?
Moped, yeah. There's.
Is that how you pronounce that?
I don't know if that's how you spell it. Maybe it is, but yeah, there's like a group of moped riders in Star Wars.
Oh, I thought he was saying like
terrible.
moping, like the girl who was moping in the trailer. That's why I was so confused by your pronunciation.
No, they're on like Vespas, or essentially. In,
I didn't
Star
read
Wars
the
world.
rider girl part of that. I just read the moping. That's funny.
Yeah. Yes, Hansi. S Bubs is just like you, abusing the system, getting free stuff. So. You
guys are admitting that in a public forum. Be careful with that.
Yeah, they're taking those dollars and supporting the channel. So that's the Patreon. So we respect.
I feel like Shudder of all services needs the help. I feel like you guys should do that with Disney Plus or Netflix or something. Especially Netflix with the password sharing thing. Like do that to Netflix. I don't know if you can. They probably have countermeasures, or Shudder will embrace it, I guess. But
they double charge you. Netflix does. Yeah, we won't outsee you guys. We won't tell Netflix or Shudder. My God,
your secret is safe with us.
I'm losing it here. Okay, moving on to the next one. Before we get on this one, actually, we should take a quick ad break. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So the last trailer, 65. Also known 65 million years ago. Dylan Musk, I wanted to ask your initial thoughts, because I think the last time we talked about the 65 movie, I can't remember if it was a trailer or just the initial idea. You just thought it was a little bit generic or whatnot. You know, you weren't as positive as I think the rest of us. But what do you think about this trailer? Did it boost your feelings on it? Are you just blown away by seeing Adam Driver with those super awesome futuristic guns in the past? What do you think about this trailer?
Yeah, well, first of all, Summer has been doing that, I guess, with Netflix and Disney Plus. So you're good. You're in the clear. Okay. You're in the clear. But yeah, so Adam Driver, he's a great guy. I love it. The CGI and stuff look fantastic. I still don't get it though. Why is everyone so goo for this movie? Can you explain it to me? Like, I feel like I'm missing something.
I think the big head hitters there is like Adam Driver and Sam Raimi, like pairing up. Like that's pretty.
Okay, but
exciting.
Sam Raimi's not like directing and writing this thing, right?
Just
his name is just like attached to it.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I feel like this movie, I've seen it many times, whether it's like Will Smith, like After Earth or something,
like,
whatever that movie was.
It looks fun, but like I don't know why I should be just like out of my seat, like theater day one, like, oh shit, like, I think someone's like, this come out the same day as some other big movie. It's like, I don't know. Like I don't see why that would
Right.
get me jazzed up. So I don't know. I think I'm missing something, but it does look
Yeah.
fun.
No, I agree. I don't think I'm as us Bob 65 sweep. He's saying, I don't think I'm as hyped as like the rest of the crew. But this is just a type of movie that's like already up my alley. I like action adventure. It's always been a genre that I enjoyed, and I feel like I'll never really get over that itch for just action adventure. And then Adam Driver in it is just that's like the big boost because I don't think I've seen him in something that I haven't liked. I haven't seen a lot of his like filmography or anything like that, but I just think all the projects he's attached to is fantastic. Obviously, there's a lot of just like, oh, I love Adam Driver biases going into it, so like I'll probably have that going into this movie. So again, I'll definitely enjoy it a lot more for that reason. If it was a different actor or anything, if you had Liam Hemsworth leading 65, I don't think it'll be on Travis's top 5 anticipated for the year or anything. But yeah, and then because yeah, you're not wrong. The concept isn't anything that's like earth shattering, but especially seeing this trailer, I think I was just so impressed by like how good it actually looked. Because the only dinosaurs I've really seen as of late would have been Jurassic World, which I really, really did not like those movies. But like the dinosaurs still look good. It's such a big budget like project, so like the CGI on the dinosaurs looks really good. And then the other one would have been like Land of the Lost, lower budget. There's still a dinosaur in it for sure. But yeah, just like the action looked really good. Like I just saw it on my computer screen. Maybe on big screen it'll be a little bit more noticeable, or maybe it'll hide it a little bit more and it'll just look that good. But it looks interesting. I think the premise is good enough that I'm curious how it's gonna end. I don't know. I have a feeling Adam Driver will die and just send this girl off to safety or whatnot. That's kind of my early prediction for the film there. But yeah, I mean, I'm expecting good things, so hopefully that means I'm not setting myself up for fail, right? Because as we talked earlier, expectations can be a damning thing. Lewis Berry, we talked about some predictions for that earlier, so if you missed any of that, you can go back and check it out on the episode. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying that, and then I mean. Summer makes a good point too. It's because Adam Driver finally gets to look hot again, and that's a good value there as well. But I don't know. I feel like I get that enjoyment. Just watch the trailer. I'm good to go. But who knows? I'm just at the end of the day, I'm happy that everyone is happy for this.
Everybody's
they have
happy.
a movie they can very much look forward to. But I don't see myself going day one. We'll see. Things can change.
S. Bubs was bringing up, he thinks now 65 is the same day as Scream, so that was probably the title that you're thinking about earlier there, Dylan. So I'll definitely be watching it second, but still hopefully during the opening weekend. Yeah. Are you checking this out in theaters, Dylan? Or are you going to like wait and see for talk?
if I'm needed for a review, because there's 2 movies coming out the same weekend, maybe, but I otherwise I don't see myself getting out there.
That's fair. Right on. All right, that's the last of our trailers there. So the last topic of the day is in regards to some Amazon Prime news, which I alluded to earlier, involving another video game franchise that they're adopting to not only a series, but also there's a movie coming out. If you haven't guessed already, ladies and gentlemen, it is Tomb Raider. I think I got the article up still here. So apparently it is... the movie is being written by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who I think was like a writer as well as creative director. Whatever that title, that's also like a writer for a video game is. Like she is actually doing the writing for the show, which is obviously great for people to hear. The latest one, I think, to do that would be The Last of Us, and I mean, if you're checking out those reviews, that show is phenomenal. So I think that will help a lot of like fans of the video game be able to jump into it. Just knowing that maybe it'll dampen some concerns that people might have, because I feel like that's just such a common thing where you have your material from the video game that I haven't played all those games, but from what I have experienced, like they are really, really good, and I really like the story that was in it. So if you played those, I would understand the concerns about like taking that and then adapting it to the screen. The big thing here, though, that at least for this specific one, is that it is a TV show. And again, like I said, The Last of Us, great example for like a video game adaptation in a series. It just fits so much better than what you would try to do on like a 2-hour full-length film, feature film. So Dylan, I think we briefly talked a little bit about Tomb Raider in the past, probably even like pre-podcast days when that first one came out or whatnot. I know Briggs is also a big resident Tomb Raider fan amongst the crew, but yeah, does this get you itching and excited?
Not yet, but I think for me, like a trailer could definitely get me to a point where I'd want to check this thing out when it's going, because yeah, you got some good writing talent there. Like this writer did the screenplay for No Time to Die, so that's nothing to sneeze at. You love that movie, so that's pretty exciting
I love
for
that
you.
one.
And yeah, I have a very kind of, I guess, casual connection with Tomb Raider. I've played a little bit of some of the games, not played any of the old school ones, just like the newer trilogy. I've dabbled in a little bit and then watched the movie, which didn't love the movie, but had a great time with the movie. Obviously, go back to that review if you missed that. That was some good time in GeekVerse history. So yeah, I could definitely be convinced to go check this thing out. But yeah, I think for Amazon, like I've really not watched much of their stuff either, right? It's just I watched Lord of the Rings, of course, but other shows that people have said good things about, I still haven't checked out. So I'm not too familiar with just the quality of their work so far. But yeah, I mean, I obviously look at Last of Us right now. Like this is a good route to go for video games. The more and more we see this, and there's been many before, like Arcane. Even though it wasn't necessarily an adaptation of an individual story from a game, that was obviously a great format for that. Castlevania, I think that show is pretty great.
That's great.
So Witcher, I mean, of course, from a book first, but like that just seems to be the go-to place for video games right now, rather than the movie space, which we tried for many years and failed. Although Mario's going to come out, and that looks pretty amazing too. So obviously it can be done. So yeah, I think a lot of the things are lining up for this to be a pretty cool project. So we'll keep an eye on this one, but it looks like it's probably still pretty far away.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. The something from this article that I just laughed at was where did it say specifically? It said, yeah, Amazon doing this, blah blah blah, with the writer Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and then it just like had to throw in there. It's like, and apparently she won't be starring in it. And like, you know, like I think she is an actress. Like she has done like projects and
I definitely recognized her when I went on her IMDb.
Yeah, but like just like. Is that something that people just like pose that question, like typically, like, oh, you're writing it, so you're gonna star in it too? I don't. It seemed weird to me reading it, but again,
there is a ton. I mean, if you go to like anyone's IMDb, it's like they've probably written something and produced something and directed.
Yeah.
Like it just seems to be the case now, or there's no one who's just an actor anymore.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe that is a weird thing to put in an article like that, though. I don't know. Maybe that was like a popular fan cast or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, like for Amazon, I love the stuff that they put out there. I've only seen the first season of The Boys. I'm not fully caught up in that, but that show's fantastic. The other big one would be Invincible, which is like one of the best comic book TV shows I've ever seen. The latest one would be Vox Machina, that's coming out weekly right now, that I cannot praise that show enough. It is so fantastic. If you're a fan of D&D out there, you're listening to it, check this show out. It's written off of season 1, Critical Role. I just got to keep pumping this out because I need more people to be watching this so I can talk to them about it, because the show is just fantastic.
You get commission if someone's checking this thing
yeah,
out,
my promo code K-Patzer. It's not even like a Geek First thing. I'm taking my own royalties from it. But like, man, just Amazon like scooping up all these properties. Like, you know, Amazon, a company, say what you will about them. Like, I am loving what they're doing with these TV content, whether it's like the Rings of Power. I have issues canon-wise with the show, but it's at such a standard. Like, it's just such a beautiful show to watch. It's so good. Like, they're gonna be doing a God of War TV series.
They got the money to do this stuff and make it, true scale and all that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm putting my faith in them. Like, I'm not the diehard Tomb Raider fan. I definitely have like nostalgia from the movies back in the day, as well as like the video game on PC or PS1, whatever that one was. So this will be a series that I'm definitely gonna be interested in, just because like the Amazon Prime like format right now for these TV shows, it's such a high tier of like quality. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. And like you said, it's far away. We don't have too much more to really talk about it here. So I mean, that's the end of our episode today. Dylan Muss, any final words?
No, I think I'm good. I'm excited for our 2 casts tomorrow that are both pretty exciting.
Absolutely.
And then this weekend's gonna be jam packed with some Super Bowl stuff, with some more Last of Us, with some with a little Arcane retroaction. It's gonna be a jam packed week. So I'm very excited for this week of podcasting.
Hell yeah. And we will, well, hopefully all of you will be there as well. Obviously we'll be there. But yeah, until next time, it will not be boring. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.